G'day, welcome to Twisted Metal Customs. You're with Twisty and we're getting stuck straight back into the CM Valiant, picking up where we left off from last episode. We've got a fair bit of the stuff stripped off, still got more to go. So I'm going to get stuck into that today and see how much I can get this thing ready for paint. So hammer and dollying, prep work, sanding, all that sort of stuff. So let's get into it and see what we can find. All right, so first things first, I'm going to start on this guard. So I'm going to take these lights off. I'm going to give that a bit of a slap in with some steel and see if I can knock that dint out as best as I can. It's pretty haggard. I'm going to try to work some magic on that. That was the worst dint in the whole car. Otherwise, the car's actually pretty straight. There's a few dings here and there, but they'll show up when I start doing the sanding. But first of all, we'll get stuck into this and see if we can shape this thing up. I'll try to get it in a position so you can see it change over the hyperlapse. Okay, so while you're watching me shape this panel, hopefully into a straighter shape, quick rundown on the car. It's a 1980 CM Valiant. It had a 6-cylinder, I think it was a 245 or something in it. 3-speed manual, I believe. But we have rebuilt a 440 big block out of a motorhome on this channel previously for this car. Actually, it was for my VJ Charger, but it's ages away yet. So I'm going to put it in here for now, and maybe it will stay in here. But I've got a 727 torque flight that's going to go behind that, and that's basically it. Now's the perfect time to do any customization. So I don't really want this to be stock. I'm not doing an OEM build. As I said on the last episode, I like something that's unique, and whether it's custom made or not. I was thinking maybe we can do a custom bonnet, bonnet scoop or some sort of custom bonnet for it. I'm actually toying with the idea of doing some side flutes or side vents or something, just to break it apart from the usual. I like to be unique. All right, so that's where we're at now. About half an hour, 45 minutes on that hammer and dolly. It looks pretty horrific from the top, much better, but you can see there's a lot of high spots, but they're actually not that bad when you go down. Skim coat of bog, and the overall shape is what I was trying to get, and I think I've achieved that. I've got a bit of a whoop here. I need to hammer out to get that curve right again, but I'll do that, and I'm pretty happy with the rest of that just for a skim coat for what we're doing in this car anyway. So otherwise I'd be here for a week trying to get that straight, but that came up pretty good. All right, I'll keep getting into this car, start stripping the rest of it off. I do have some rust to repair on the corner of that panel there and a big section down here. When I say big, it's not too bad. I'm just going to chop it out and shape it. That's going to be the hardest part. So anyway, let's get into it. Feel free to help. Well, this mirror took 40 minutes to get out. How cool is this? 1980, that's 44 years old. And I mean, engineering involved, I know it's just a couple of cables, but it's a little joystick that sticks out the door card, and that's what you do to change a mirror. The cables are a bit stretched now, but you can see how it's changing the mirror angle. So you can do it from inside the car. That's pretty cool. I actually didn't know that these were on the CMs. I don't know what other Valiants they were on, but that there is probably worth a lot of money, I'm assuming. Lucky I didn't break it, hey? Welcome to Tech Tics Welcome to Tech Tips. Welcome to Tech Tips with Twisty. When you get in to do the body work, let's say that you're just going to paint over the paint like I'm going to. I'm going to be using a surface primer or a high build primer in between, obviously. But before you get in there, you know you're going to have some dents. I know I'm going to have some dents. So what you can do is get your block sander out now and just give it, even with 80 or 120, it doesn't really matter, like probably 120 would be better. And just give it a quick blocking back, like not a lot, just enough so you can see where the scuffs are. And if you can get a block that shapes to the panel, even better. And you just really want to bring out the highs or lows before you start sanding, because I've always said this, if you're going to paint over paint or paint over an old substrate, try to use it as a guide coat. And it's easier to hammer and dolly as you're sanding with the existing paintwork and stuff, rather than sanding straight through the steel. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so this is my adjustable sander. I just bought another one through Amazon. If you want to get one, check out my link in the description. Check out my products on Amazon. They're the ones I use. I don't recommend them. This is the second one I bought just because I wanted two. One for wet sanding, one for dry sanding. Okay, so with this one here, you can adjust it. So get it so you have, see how it's got rock? You know, this is a different tech tip, but you wind that down so it has no rock. A little bit less, because when you push down, it will actually bend a little bit. Get it pretty perfect to your panel, and then just do your scuffing lightly. Cross hatch it. That's all you need to do. Like, this is 80 grit. I can use 80 because I'm going to use 120 on the Orbi. But if you're going to use 80, remember, don't go any more than double. That's a whole different story of your grit. So use 120, use 240, whatever you want. So from there, I know I've got a low spot right here. So I can see a low spot right there. You see high spots there, and then it's a big dark shadow here, which is the original paint. And again down here, that's got some silicone on it from the badge, ignore that. But that's a big shadow right there. That's low point, high, 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 high. So even before, once I get that breakthrough, that's it, I stop. And then I get it behind hammer and dolly and hammer that out, that dark section, give it another couple of scuffs until I start seeing my scratches go through the low spots. Might need a bit more, maybe hammer that down and play with it as you go. So then when I'll get it 90% better, then when I hit it back with the Orbi, like the pneumatic one, super easy, it's doing most of the work, but the panel's already mostly straight. So you might have to do a skim coat here and there. It just saves a whole lot of work. That's today's tech tip with Twisty. All right, so I'll show you real quick before it gets too dark. I'm actually losing daylight. So once you've gone around and done all your 80 grit or whatever grit you choose for your situation, if you didn't have sunburn paint and it was decent paint, like just natural respray, you don't use that coarse. You don't need to. You could really just do 400 grit, if you're only just scuffing the surface. And then, there's too many scenarios to say in this video. We'll be here for 5 hours. So for this circumstance with sunburn paint, decent substrate, and it's like powdery and a little bit chalky, I'm using 80 grit as my guide coat layer. And then I go over it with 120 with the orbital. So it's easy, cheap work. And that should get it 99% ready for high build primer, which I will be putting on this. And then I go around with the block and block it back. And hopefully we'll get to that point for the next episode. But for this one, we're just prepping. Hopefully that makes sense. There's a lot to explain, so many different circumstances. That's why everyone's wrong or everyone's an idiot on social media, because everyone's got their own way to do something. I'm not saying they're the wrong ways. I've got my way, and you can do whatever way you want, but I'm trying to show you what works for me. And if it's not broken, I ain't fixing it. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. So yeah. All right, back here, it's the next day. I got a fair bit done yesterday. It doesn't look like much, but yeah, all the trim's off and everything. So I've been sanding away. I am using the caramel wheel on the pinstripes and that adhesive. And I don't know whether I've talked about that before, but we are now. So you can see the pinstripe, and it's just like a stick-on one. Been there for ever, 40 years. And generally the caramel wheel is good for using on stickers or any adhesive or anything on actual decent paint as well. Like You've got to go nice and slow, or slower. Too hot and it'll burn through the paint and you'll wreck your paint job. So practice on something that's dodgy first before you do it on your good car. What I'm going to do is just show you, I'm going to go reasonably slow, and I'm going to use the outside edge. You see it's starting to roll over, that's fine. You can either use this front face as well and go along like that for bigger areas, or you can use the outside like this. But main thing is keep moving and don't go too quickly, because it'll get too hot and yeah, it will melt into the panel paint. So I can touch that and it's just the slightest amount of warmth. Mine's a little bit out of shape, so it does bounce around a little bit. You're probably wondering what happens if you push too hard and stay in one spot. Well, let's test it on this panel. Better my car than your car, eh? Okay, so you can see it's extremely hot. It's like really hot to the touch. Even the caramel wheel is really hot. It's starting to burn the paint, and even there it's got so hot that it's chipping out the paint. And then you've got all this debris and molten paint and sticker down here. That's when you know you've gone too hard and too fast. But hopefully you don't get to that point on your good car. I just recorded like 2 minutes of stuff and I didn't press record, so that was cool. What I was going to show you is this. Delicious. Yes, there's rust in this sill, and I may have been a little bit ambitious to say that it's a pristine car. And yeah, so I am probably not going to do a proper restoration on this one, purely because it's not that it can't be done. Absolutely it can. I couldn't be bothered to do this car up when I've still got my jail bar sitting there waiting for me to work on it and finish it off. I've still got the XW there, and these two cars I'm keeping. I'm never selling these two. That one there I couldn't care about. I just want to put the 440 in it for a bit of a, you know, novelty car, sleeper, a daily. So that's what this build's for. These two ones I'm keeping. So, and I've got the VJ Charger still that I haven't even started on. So the reason why I'm saying I'm probably going to go back to a quick daily paint job, like a daily restoration, is because, yeah, I want to spend my time on these cars, not this one. So I still need to do the rust repair and whatever, that has to be done, but I'm not going to go into crazy effort to make this thing show car. So we're going to stick with that plan. Oh yeah, that's my new truck. I got that to step up my game when I'm transporting customers' cars. So it's got some side rails and stuff on it. It's not new, it's 18 years old, but it should do the job. I've got some gear on there for the new workshop, new TMC headquarters. If you haven't been watching the channel, this is the old workshop. Still do a heap of work here because this is all I've got at the moment, but once the new shed's built, it's about 2.5 times size of this. So all this has got to go to the new workshop location. So pretty excited to do that. So I still have these cars here. I still work in this shed until the other shop's done, and then I'll move the workshop over there. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. I'll do a bit more on this and then I'll get on the road. So